What in the eight realms is that thing? Audley Grenderson looked out over the rolling autumnal fields towards the woods beyond, squinting at the immensity that was, even now, emerging from the shadows of the oaken ridge. Some kind of daemon, like enough, replied Grigg, the shoveler, expertly reloading the cannon on the cog for its dorsal cupola. Whatever it is dead. Grenderson wasn't so sure about that. The sound of chanting, that damnable, repetitive chanting that had robbed his sleep for the last 3 days, was growing louder, as if goading the monstrous thing that had emerged from the woods to action. He knew it too well by now. Its cadence was impossible to get out of his head. Char, Shah, Ganazar, Slaanesh, the same phrase over and over. He found himself saying it now and again when no one else was around. Char, Shah, Ganazar, Slaanesh. I'll bet a month's wages it's called Char Shah Ganasa Salar something, said Timrick, the youngster sent to act as their powder monkey. Audley shot him a black look, then started back at the field. A shaft of light was streaming through the cloud-choked skies, illuminating the creature as if its heavens themselves were looking directly upon it. It was perhaps 40 feet tall, with 6 slender limbs and an elongated bovine head. It gave a low moan, as if in anticipation, as it broke into a graceful loping run. Somehow, despite its hideous autonomy, it was the most beautiful thing Audley had ever seen. Grigg's bass tone broke his reverie. Well, right, said Audley, tugging at his clothing. It felt way too tight. Yes, open fire! The cannon boomed a moment later, the explosive cylinder hurtling towards the thing even as its brother's cannon spoke a second. The towering white demon leaned to one side with impossible quickness. The first shot whipped past its hip, which was adorned with piercings. The other shell caught its claw as if it was snatching a falling leaf from the air. Grunky's beard, breathed Audley. That's not good. He watched wide-eyed as the creature raised its iron cylinder into its maw, leaned back its head, and swallowed it before licking its lips in satisfaction. Then, with a great roar of adulation, hundreds of pale, near-naked revelers poured out from the tree line. Some were human, some were half-beasts in the manner of the forest people. Others were demonic. Nothing else could look so vile and so alluring at the same time. Yet, they were but insects next to the magnificence of their lord. After another few seconds of watching the titanic god stride forwards, Audley nodded as if finally confirming the supposition. Then, slicking back his hair with spit and straightening his iron welder's apron, he abandoned his position and went downstairs to open the portcullis, a singular phrase upon his lips that he muttered louder and louder until it became a shout. Char, Shah, Ganza, Slaanesh. That short story is from the Pretenders section in the new Hedonites of Slaanesh Battletome. Pretenders are my preferred subfaction when I play my army. They're an interesting subfaction. They're very egocentrical. They only care about themselves. They view with the way they view the world with Slaanesh gone. The only logical next step for them was to replace Slaanesh. They are the next god. They're that full of themselves that they think that they could take Slaanesh's place within the Chaos Pantheon. So they're quite literal pretenders to the throne. They very much overestimate their own importance in the great game. They are but bit players compared to Khorne or Zeech or Nurgle or even the Horn Rat, who, in my personal opinion, isn't even a Chaos God. No offense to any Skaven players out there. The Pretenders, they play a risky game, though, because if Slaanesh should ever break free and reclaim her throne, the first step, the first thing he'll do is get rid of the usurpers. This threat doesn't stop the Pretenders or make them even worried about this happening. They're so wrapped up in their own ideas and wants that Slaanesh breaking free and punishing them for what they've done does not even cross their mind. They are egomaniacs and utter psychopaths, only dedicated to the pursuit of their own goals. They are so full of themselves that they will enter into battle as if marching down a wedding aisle, arms out and spread in benediction or acceptance, with with having their army applauding and roaring for them, the followers will be there hoping for their living idol to bless them with a glance beneath hooded painted eyelids, or a light touch showing approval. And despite the adoration shown to these godlike figures, pretender leaders will sometimes use their followers as chattel or living shields, or food just to further their own glory. There are some pretender leaders out there who think nothing of sacrificing 100 adoring worshippers because they know that there will always be more for them to just throw in their place. Others, on the other hand, know that their power comes from those who do believe in them. And because they know that, they will seek out and deliver swift and savage death to enemy leaders in hoping to recruit the army of their fallen rival. This idea is, they viciously kill the enemy leader, and this will show the followers that they are the true God. They offer up a choice of worship them as a god or be tortured to death in the dirt. This reminds me of the Realmgate Wars. First book, you're following a Khorne warband, and one of them is thinking about how he ended up joining the warband, and he had to eat. He had to eat some human flesh. He was cannibalizing his former friends or family, and that's how they got him into the warband, and that's how they started off. Like, you ate the flesh, now you're part of us, you're joining. It's kind of the same thing happening here. You either worship me as a god or you die. And it kind of just shows, like, despite the differences within the Chaos Gods, there are a lot of similarities in how they go about operating. But back to the Pretenders. Zarist Silverheart, Sword Queen of the Faultless Blade, which the Faultless Blade is a Pretenders sub-faction within Wrath of the Everchosen. She is apparently the leader of the Faultless Blades, which is really interesting, and I'm glad that they added so much more lore and information in this new Hedonites book, that we're getting character names. But she favors this approach of killing the enemy leader and getting either the followers, to worship her or die. She has a throng of Myrmidesh supplicants and she goes about with her fighting and how she shows how skilled and godly she is. She's about divine artistry with her kills, and she refuses to slay two foes using the exact same technique, and that's what propels her above most others. And I find that very interesting, and I want to know more about this woman. I really like her, and I'm definitely going to be doing a kit bash and creating her for my army. But every pretender is followed by a vast assembly of psychopanic supporters and worshippers that consider their idol's delusion to be the absolute truth, which I find that also very interesting. It kind of sounds like how the Flesh Eater Court's delusions work. Like, they get caught up in the Ghoul King's delusion and see that as their reality too. It's like the same thing's happening here as we're seeing in other factions and armies, and I think that plays well into Slaanesh with the excessiveness, because Slaanesh, being just the god of excess, can infect and permeate almost any society, and we're seeing these delusions, and it makes me wonder, can Flesh Eater Courts with their delusions, can they fall into the excess too and be pulled into Slaanesh? Now, I understand with the way Age of Sigmar works and the lore behind its souls and whatnot with the gods are important, and most dead things do not have that. That's in Nagash's realm. But I don't see why they couldn't end up just worshipping the Chaos Gods as well without a soul. I don't know. That's just some thoughts that I had while I was reading through this book and seeing a lot of similarities between different factions. But the followers of the Pretenders, they live in a state of rapture due to the fact that They are able to look upon their deity directly at any time they want, and in hopes of receiving like a divine blessing in any way, the pretenders' followers will pour flattery over them, and offer up their body and souls in servitude to their god. Ritual sacrifice is also performed for their leaders. This is often those who have displeased the pretender, which could be anyone. If an offering is not sufficient, that could displease the pretender, and you'll end up dead. They're very fickle, like their god, the real god, Slaanesh. On the battlefield, the followers aim to impress with extreme violence, hoping this will bring at least a word of approval, or at the best, the and greatest honor of a place to fight by their god's side. Mirrors are a common theme within their army as well. From the contorted epitome, I can never remember how to pronounce that word. It's the cool mirror, and the mesmerizing mirror, to what I would imagine is also highly polished armor to help give reflections for their egocentric leader. Pretenders are jealous and paranoid. Not that that's surprising given how into themselves they are. They're always looking at others and thinking that they're trying to usurp them, either out of envy or out of spite. On an occasion that there are actually two people like that, two individuals, they will meet and they will eventually have to fight to the death. They can't let anyone or anything bring their godhood into question. When a pretender is slain, the followers will wail in pain at the loss and lash out at their surroundings, convinced that Slaanesh is now truly dead and there is nothing left in life but utter oblivion and sweet release from the mortal coil. But if they survive this mourning period of their fallen god, they will obviously be replaced with another pretender that is requiring their worship or demanding it, depending on the circumstances. But that is really all the new book that goes into the Pretenders says about it. Up next, since we covered the three, there's not a lot of changes with the God Seekers or the Invaders in the story. So I think I'm going to go and look at the new book and read through the story, and that will be the next video. I'm sorry this came out so late. I want to do one a week, but I kind of got caught up with a lot of personal stuff. But I will try to get more out there. All right. Thank you for staying, listening, and enjoying. Have a great day. Bye. But that is really all the new book that goes into the Pretenders says about it. Up next, since we covered the three, there's not a lot of changes with the God Seekers or the Invaders in the story. So I think I'm going to go and look at the new book and read through the story, and that will be the next video. I'm sorry this came out so late. I want to do one a week, but I kind of got caught up with a lot of personal stuff. But I will try to get more out there. All right. Thank you for staying, listening, and enjoying. Have a great day. Bye.